Hello and welcome, my friends, to the next episode of Cyber Potato, where I'll be teaching you about basics of JavaScript. So, we discussed stuff like array, object, operators, and types. And now we're coming to the subject of loops and control flow. So let's start with control flow, and I believe it should be rather logical and simple. You use control flow when you have to make a decision. Okay, so imagine, for example, playing a racing game, and your game should respond correctly in case whether the player actually hits gas or a brake, and somehow you need to decide what to do with the car in your game engine. And to do that, we naturally have a construct called if else, and it looks like this. If a player hits the brake, car should slow down, else car should speed up. Okay, I believe this makes sense in a pseudocode, but you can see that it's constructed from few parts. You have the if keyword, then here in the round braces you have some kind of value or function, some kind of expression actually, that should evaluate to true or false. And we already know about Boolean, I believe. For example, I discussed it in the last section. And here you actually perform some operations based on this logical expression. So if something is true, do this and this. If it isn't, do something else. Staying on the subject of the movies, for example, let's create two variables. No, let's use something we already have. So here, somewhere around here, we have review object. Let me just bring it down. Okay. So if review rating is bigger or equal to 10, let's just log this is a great movie. Also let's log this is an okay movie. And now review is not defined. Do I save it? I save it. But why? Review. Oh yeah, it's undefined here because I moved it. Okay, makes sense. Okay, now we have it. This is a great movie because actually our rating is 10, so that's okay. If I change it to 8, I should get this locked to the console because, well, this expression evaluate to false because, as you can imagine, 8 isn't greater than 10. Okay, great. But this part of this construct can be extended further, because I can provide another expression to check here. For example, is movie rating around 6, let's say. So if the rating is bigger than 10, this is a great movie. If movie rating is bigger than 6, this is an okay movie. Else, let's say I wouldn't recommend watching it. Okay, so to every else that I have, I can add another if-else operator. Okay, and I can extend it with as many conditions as I see fitted. Okay, of course, I can also do just that, and it will just do something if this is true and nothing else. So no else if, or as many else and else ifs as you'd like. Okay, well, let me check this real quick. Movie is not defined because it's review with dummy. Okay. Nice. Okay, if I drop it below 6, I should get I wouldn't recommend watching it. And that is true. Okay, so while we're here, we should also introduce 2 more logical operators. So we knew equal, greater than, lower than, but we also have AND logical operator. We have OR logical operator, and if you, as you can imagine, it's rather simple, because true and true always equals true, and true and false always equals false. Then there's of course false and false equals false. And for OR we have true and true equals true, true and false equals false, and false and false equals false. Okay, so for example, if I have something like this movie is bad, and I say this is true, I have this movie is old horror equals to true. I can say if this movie is bad and this movie is old horror, I'm a great fan of old bad horrors. I will say I want to watch it. Okay, we have it working. And what actually happens is the first expression is evaluated, and then the logical operator connects it with the second one and only performs that if both of those are true. Of course, I can add as many expressions to evaluate here as I would like to. And in JavaScript, actually, I believe every single thing that we have evaluates in if somehow. For example, if I put empty array here, it will evaluate to true, and we can check that in our console. If you want to actually change any kind of stuff you have in JavaScript to Boolean value, you put a double exclamation mark before it. Okay, so if I go to empty string, I have true. If I go to null, I got false, and undefined is false, so is 0. The question is, what will minus number evaluate to? Okay, it actually has a value, so it evaluates to true. Okay, moving on. What else? The OR operator. Oh, of course, if I will put any kind of false or so-called falsely value here, it won't log in. Okay, let's clear that. So we don't see this. I want to watch it now. Actually, especially in React, we use AND operator to do something called conditional rendering, but actually it's a technique you can use to do something conditionally. And you can write it, for example, like that. If this movie is bad, and function or some operation, this will be logged only if this is true. Okay, so actually you don't have to write full if you'd like to perform some simple operation with checking some values before. Okay, because if this is false, this will never execute. Okay, and now of course it will. So you can use it in if, and you can use it to execute some code conditionally. Okay, there's also the shorthand notation, I believe it's called, for if, and it looks something like this. For if else, actually. Okay, you put question mark, then you write what you would like to do if it's true, then you put a colon and something to execute when you have false here. So it looks like this: expression to evaluate to Boolean, question mark, stuff to do when this is true, colon, stuff to do when this is false. Okay, this actually works, and if I change it to false here, nice. Also, you can use it to assign some value to variable. For example, I like this movie. This movie is old horror. For example, I don't know, Attack of the Giant Leeches, I believe. And what isn't old horror? For example, Matrix. Okay, so now, do I like this movie? And we should get giant leeches because this is true. Sorry, this is false. Let's change it. This is true. So this ternary expression will return this value, and this is getting assigned to I like this movie variable. Okay? Yay! So we can use ternary expression, the one with the question mark, to do stuff or to assign values. Okay? And this is a rather cool shorthand one-liner that you can use instead of writing the if-else statement. Okay, and then we have the OR operator. Okay, so this is rather simple. If we write something like that, okay, if I write some set of expressions to evaluate, okay, the code inside the code here will execute if one or more things above are true. Okay, so doesn't matter if there's a false value here. If one thing here is true, it's enough for this code to execute. Okay, so here in this example with AND operator, all values have to be true to execute this code. Here only one value has to be true to execute this. Okay, and it works. But actually sometimes you need a more complicated logic in your if statement, and you can combine those to actually execute some code. So there's no problem with something like this. Let me just get the parentheses right. Okay, let me just, yeah. Okay, so it's been executed left to right, and the stuff that is in inner parentheses is actually being evaluated first. So here we have true and false, and this will evaluate to true. Then we have AND. Here we have false and true. So this is going to evaluate to false. And then we have true and false, and this evaluates to false. Console log, this won't be executed, I believe. Okay, it's not. Now, if I change it to OR operator, this will be executed. Okay? So you can combine OR and AND operators however you see fit. Just please have the common courtesy to group the expressions in inner parentheses. It makes them more sensible, easier to read. Okay, so now that we actually have this, let's use our if statement to do something fun. And I will start by adding a button. Let me just button with hash change color. Okay, click me to change the color. That's nice. So I added the button and I gave it an ID so that I can easily find the reference to it from DOM to JavaScript. And I will do so by saying something like button is actually can be found by using query selector of change color, I believe it is. And yeah. Then I can do on click and attach a function to it. And I'm gonna do something like this. Don't bother with the functions right now. It's actually something that your code do opposite to something that you have in your code. So I can have something like review in my code and I can have a button actually do something. So let's find HTML and I can do this like this. Nope, I can do this like this. HTML element is equal to document query selector. So I will query on my site about something, and this is going to be the most top element. I can read its style, background color. If it's red, then let's say that it should have green color. So I can modify the looks of my element using JavaScript. It's really cool. And if not, let's change it to red. Okay, and let me see if this works. Nice. Red, green, red, green, red, green, everything's working. Okay, great. So this is actually the control flow, and if else statement, the ternary statement, the logical and or operators, and a nice example, I believe, of what you can do with some control flow. In the next chapter, we're going to be discussing loops, and I'll see you there. Bye.